Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Real Sports Updates here, back again with another video. So let's get into it, man. You see the title, you see the thumbnail. I kind of wanted to touch on Jamaree Salyer. I've seen a lot of people talking about, him being the best value pick of this year's draft, which is something that I agree with for the most part. But if you're a Charger fan, I think you should be familiar, or you should try to get familiar with this man's accomplishments. And he really slid down the draft board. Now, like I said in a past video, he was graded as like the number 80 player, in the top 100. He pretty much cracked everybody's top 100 list. So for the Chargers to be able to get him as far down as they got him, it really was a steal. But I think everybody needs to get a little bit more familiar with him. Zion Johnson, our first round pick, pretty much accomplished. People know more or less about him. They've seen his tape, and he's been a player that's been talked about over the past couple of years. Especially at the guard position, he has been very good, very, very good for the past few years. And he has, he's deserved all the attention that he has, garnered so far. But Jamaree Salyer is a guy. He's one of the unsung heroes of the Georgia championship team from this past season. He's a guy who has experience at the offensive line position, every position, and I think Charger fans, should get a little bit more familiar with him, because I think this guy's going to be really, really good, really, really good for the Chargers this year and even going forward. So let's get started. So Jamaree Salyer, obviously out of Georgia, 6'3", 221, and a very, very, very important measurable when it comes to offensive linemen. So he's 6'3", but his wingspan is about 6'8.5". So this is a very important measurable for offensive linemen. The longer your arms are, the better you are able to engage in blockers. The faster you're able to get your hands on blockers and engage in blocks. While not using too much of your body, and being able to have a wide base, and being able to pretty much control the defensive lineman, with using the length of your arm. So that's a very, very important measurable for offensive linemen. Jamaree Salyer's got a long arm, so obviously positive and an advantage, especially at the NFL level, where you're going to have to engage with defenders very quickly. So he started at left tackle 9 times last season, and twice at right tackle. So, obviously if you're a Charger fan, you know that every position on the offensive line is now pretty much solidified except for that right tackle position. The fact that he has experience at right tackle lets you know that the Chargers are probably, I don't know if they're exactly going to plug him in at right tackle and just say, hey, the job is yours. I don't think it's going to be, that easy, but I do think that Tom Telesco, Brandon Staley, I think, his starts across the offensive line, not just at right tackle, but it starts all the way across the offensive line. It's going to help them, determine whether or not they feel comfortable with him at a tackle position, right? And it's not just for the starting position as well, too. Even if he doesn't start, he is a guy who, if there are any of the linemen go down, he's a guy you can plug in right away. And he's had the experience, right? He's played in the best conference in the college football, the SEC. He's lined up against guys who got drafted. He's lined up against guys who are now playing in the NFL. So I don't think the moment, the stage, whatever, will be too big for him, because he has big game experience, obviously playing with Georgia, playing with such a talented team, and playing against other talented teams in the SEC as well, too, with a lot of defensive talent, a lot of speed, a lot of pass rushers, a lot of guys in the middle, defensive tackles who cause a lot of havoc. He's got a lot of experience going up against those guys. So I think that is really, really going to be to his advantage. Especially going into minicamp, going into training camp, he's not going to be phased by the person across from him. No matter how big the name is, he's not going to be phased. He understands what to do, and the Georgia offense was as far as the running game goes, it was very, they did a lot, you know, they did some zone blocking. They had some zone blocking schemes. They had, you know, just regular hat on the hat stuff. They kind of did a lot within their run game. You know, a lot of jet sweeps and things like that. So, you know, he had different responsibilities in the run game. And him playing all 5 positions on the offensive line lets you know that this guy picks up offense, right? Especially if you're an offensive lineman and, you know, typically teams do, you know, their zone blocking, you know, 90% of the time. Or, you know, if they're not a zone blocking team, they're just regular hat on the hat, you know, double teaming, whatever. They're doing that 90% of the time. There's not so many teams who do both at the same time. And for him to be able to succeed in a system like that, where he has a lot of responsibility, you know, not just at the position that he started at. You know, he started at left tackle 9 times, but he also, you know, got snaps at other positions. So he knows his way around the offensive line, which is, you know, you really, really cannot have enough of those guys in your offensive line room. You cannot have enough of those guys on your team, you know, in the NFL. You need guys who understand offensive line play, what to do, how to get the job done, right? How to, you know, make that crucial block, you know, to spring the running back, or, you know, to even protect your quarterback and just let him get rid of the ball. Like, you cannot have too many of those guys on your team. So I think this guy has shown that he can understand protections, right? He can understand what to do in the run game. He can understand all of this along the offensive line. So that's definitely going to be a positive, and he's going to bring that into the Chargers offensive line room. So I know the rest of the offensive line got to be excited, because with his knowledge, you know, with his knowledge and the knowledge that, you know, the guys on the team already have, you know, this is going to allow the offensive line to gel as a unit. And all the best offensive lines, you know, in years past, they have always gelled as a unit, right? You've always had, you know, talent at tackle or center or whatever it is, but the way that they communicate and the way that they gel together is much, much more important than individual talent. So, and that is based off of all 5 guys knowing exactly what to do and knowing exactly how to do it. And I think you bring in guys like this, you know, you automatically raise the value in the offensive line room so much. So, you know, you really, really can't say enough about that. You know, 39 snaps at least 39 snaps at all 5 positions, right? I just got done speaking about that right now. Very impressive. And again, this is just going to raise the value in the room, right? So he's only allowed 1 sack, 1 pressure over, you know, those 21 starts that he had in college, right? Which again is impressive in the SEC. You're lining up against future NFL talent. You're lining up against guys who cause havoc in the NFL. Right, on the outside, inside, wherever. Like, you are going up against these guys every single Saturday, and those are the same guys he's going to be lining up against every single Sunday too. So again, man, you really can't say enough about the job that he did at Georgia. Again, he was an unsung hero, you know, playing against some of the best talent in, you know, the country. I think back, you know, to this year's national championship game in January. He was handling Will Anderson. Will Anderson is going to be a top 15, top 20 pick next year in the NFL draft. Will Anderson, number 31 for Alabama. Really big, you know, strong, rangy kid. You know, I think he's like 6'4", really long arms, quick first step. You know, he's got a bunch of pass rushing moves and stuff. He really, really handled him in the national championship game, especially in the second half. Like, they were dominating. The offensive line was dominating. They were gelling, and Jamaree Salyer was really doing his job. Like, he was really putting guys on the ground. You know, he's putting top 20 picks on the ground. And, you know, again, everybody's seen the tape of the college football playoff, the semifinal game, where he's, you know, handling Ojabo, he's handling Hutchinson, he's handling both them guys. Like, they didn't even get close to touching Stetson Bennett, the quarterback. So he's a guy, he knows what to do, and he's a big game player. And I think, again, you cannot have enough of those guys. Big game guy, that's who you want protecting you. So, again, man, value of the offensive line group goes up. He is an excellent run blocker. I think if you have watched any of the tape, if you watch any highlights, you will see that he is what they like to call a road grader, right? He's just a big dude who's running over people, literally just running running over guys, right? You know, especially once he gets his pad level down, he's able to get into guys. And you know, I don't care how strong you are, I don't care how tough you are, moving that big boy, trying to move that big boy out of the way coming at you, you know, 10 miles an hour or whatever, like you're gonna get moved out of the way regardless of if you want to move or not. He's a man mover in the running game. So I think that's definitely one of the things that the Chargers can use, especially on the right side of the line. If you go back and watch Chargers football from last season, the left side of the line dominated. I think back to that Thursday night game against Kansas City, where the Chargers were really running the ball really well. They were dominating, but most of it was off to the left side behind Rashawn Slater, behind Matt Filer, and behind Corey Linsley, the center. All to the left side, just dominating, just moving guys out of the way. They were not able to do that on the right side because Storm Norton is not as accomplished as a run blocker as Rashawn Slater is. Jamaree Salyer is as accomplished as a run blocker as Rashawn Slater is. You can run behind this guy. You can get behind this guy. You know he's going to get his helmet on somebody, and he's going to knock somebody down. So that would be a huge, huge positive for the Chargers to be able to run the ball to both sides of the offensive line. Man, I mean, what else can you ask for as far as the run game goes, right? And that's why I was so excited after this draft pick, because I realized, okay, this guy might actually slide into right tackle. So the Chargers might be able to run right off of left tackle, off of right tackle, whatever, you know, and you add that into the offense, what Herbert and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams can do. I mean, the sky really is the limit for the Chargers offense. So definitely a plus. Now, you know, I've been you know, very complimentary for Jamaree Salyer, but you know, there are things that he can improve on as far as his pass protection goes. His feet are not where they should be right now. You know, I think he needs to be coached up by a NFL offensive line. He's definitely got the tools. Like, he's got the tools. I think if he, you know, gets with the O-line coach, or even if he has his personal O-line coach or whatever, get in there, you know, watch tape, make sure your feet are good, you know, do the workouts, do the stretches that all the offensive linemen do in order to get his feet, you know, going a little better. You know, his feet got a little stagnant at some points last year, and you can see it on tape and stuff, but I think that is something that can be improved, and yeah, I think it's something that will be improved. You know, you look at a guy like Storm Norton, he improved vastly from, you know, the previous year to last year. He improved vastly in his pass protection, and you know, he had the same criticism. His feet were not where they needed to be, right? And you know, he did struggle at some points last year, but the improvements that he made were visible, you know, because there were points in the season where Storm Norton was playing right tackle, and you never heard his name called, which is a good thing for offensive linemen, right? You never hear your name called. That means you're not giving up pressure. It means you're not giving up sacks, and ultimately that means you're keeping your quarterback's jersey clean. And I think that is a big credit to the coaching staff. And I expect the same thing with Jamaree Salyer. You know, just get in there, improve your weaknesses as far as pass protection goes, and I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. Those are things you improve on, and those are things that, you know, just show up on tape while you're in college. But, you know, again, once you get to the NFL, the coaching, just the quality of coaching goes up. So you're able to make the adjustments you need to make in order to be that better player. So, you know, I think that is probably his biggest thing that he needs to work on. And if he does, man, he's going to be a really, really good player for us. Really, really good. So, last but not least, everybody, if you're a Charger fan, and, you know, I know the videos going to come out, is, you know, when training camp approaches and there's position battles and all of that stuff, expect a position battle at right tackle. I would expect that between Trey Pipkins, Storm Norton, and Jamaree Salyer. I expect there to be a competition, a right tackle competition, because the right tackle is not solidified right now. At this point right now, none of the three guys have, you know, an inside track to, you know, being the starting right tackle. I think all of them have the same opportunity right now. You know, Storm Norton did get a lot of snaps last year, and I said, you know, he did improve, but the game that he needed to, really, step up and play well. He didn't. Max Crosby got to him, and I think, and not to make excuses for him, but that was just not a great matchup for him. He does struggle with the speed rushers a little bit. Again, the feet with the offensive lineman. If you're not able to move your feet as well, then you can get exposed by some speed rushers. But again, it's all about improvement, right? Trey Pipkins has been with the team for a while. We've seen what he's been able to do. He's had a very up and down career. But again, are these guys improving? Are you improving coming into camp? And a lot could be said about how well he didn't play, especially in the preseason last year or whatever. But when he was called on last year, he played really well. He played really well, and you have to give him credit for that. But I think as far as the right tackle goes, I think Salyer, I think Telesco, I think they're going to be looking for consistency. And I think personally our best chance at consistency at the right tackle position is Jamaree Salyer. But, they might have a different opinion on that. I'm just going just based off of what he did in college, off of the big games that he was in, off of the premium pass rushers that he went up against. Didn't allow sacks, didn't allow pressures, and he really stepped up when he needed to. And this is exactly what the doctor ordered for us, because if we had a right tackle who, was Jamaree Salyer last year, right, a guy who played in big games and it can step up at the most needed times, then the Chargers would have ended up winning the Week 18 game, and the Chargers would have been in the playoffs. And who knows what would have happened at that point. But the past is the past, right? So we're moving on, we're moving forward, and just expect there to be a right tackle competition. I don't know who gets it. You can't tell until camp starts. Injuries might happen and things like that, but we'll see what happens when camp gets here. It's definitely going to be very, very interesting. But I wanted to cover this guy. I think he is going to be the diamond in the rough. I think he's going to be, by the end of the season, I think everybody's going to be talking about him and what a steal, he was. And, obviously you're going to be giving credit to Salyer and to Tom Telesco. But, we'll see what happens going forward. I think this is a good player that we have. I'm looking forward to him contributing to the offensive line. I'm looking forward to him contributing in the run game, especially. But I think this just like the video I did the other day, this is about the philosophy, and I think Brandon Salyer, Tom Telesco, I think they're on the same page. And to have physical guys like this in the building, it is definitely to our advantage, and I think he helps out a lot this season. So, but that's pretty much my breakdown on Jamaree Salyer, guys. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you're not. Please, if you like the content, please give me a thumbs up. That's pretty much all I got. I got more content coming out very, very soon. Thank you guys for your support, the likes, the comments, everything. And until next time, I will see you later.